The first time Lisa Morgan set foot on the Xeraxian royal vessel, she knew her life would never be the same again. The massive crystalline structure hovered silently above Earth, casting shadows across the Pacific Ocean as humanity held its collective breath below. Lisa stood tall in her diplomatic uniform, the only human representative chosen to make first contact with the alien civilization. Her heart pounding wildly in her chest as the transport beam dissolved around her. Lisa blinked, adjusting to the strange blue light that filled the reception chamber. Tall, willowy figures surrounded her, their skin shimmering with an iridescent glow that reminded her of opals, their eyes large and entirely black. Observing her with unmistakable curiosity, Lisa swallowed hard and stepped forward, just as the crowd parted, revealing a figure different from the rest. Princess Xylara of the Xyraxian Empire stood motionless, her 7 feet of height towering over the human woman, her ceremonial robes flowing like liquid mercury around her slender form. The princess stared at Lisa with an expression that even across species barriers clearly communicated shock. "No one told me humans were so small." The princess spoke, her voice translating through the neural implant Lisa had received before the mission. "Yet you stand before me as though you command the very stars." Lisa smiled. Diplomacy was her specialty. After all, we might be small, but we have survived on a planet that tried to kill us at every turn. We have adapted, overcome, and thrived despite overwhelming odds. The princess circled Lisa, examining her with growing interest, the royal guards keeping a watchful distance, their crystalline weapons humming with energy. The princess reached out one 6-fingered hand, almost touching Lisa's hair but pulling back at the last moment. "Fascinating," she whispered. "Your species has accomplished so much in so little time. We have been watching." The diplomatic reception continued for hours. Lisa meeting various members of the Xyraxian court, each more curious than the last about Earth and its inhabitants. Lisa noticed how the princess kept watching her from across the room, her black eyes never leaving the human for long. 3 days into the diplomatic mission, Lisa was summoned to the royal chambers, a highly unusual request according to her Xyraxian guide. When she arrived, Princess Xylara dismissed her attendants, leaving the two of them alone in the vast chamber that seemed to be made of living crystal. "Have a proposition, human?" The princess said, her voice low. "I need your help. My people believe humans are weak, that your kind should be studied, perhaps even controlled. But I have seen differently. I have accessed your history, your art, your struggles. You are fierce in ways we cannot comprehend." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" The princess activated a holographic display showing a massive warship approaching Earth. "It will arrive in 7 days, my cousin. Prince Zyron leads it. He believes your planet holds resources we need. He does not share my view that your species deserves independence." Lisa stared at the projection, horror washing over her. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I believe we can help each other," the princess replied. "I cannot directly oppose my cousin, but you have something we Xyraxians have lost over millennia of technological advancement. What would that be?" Lisa asked. "Unpredictability, creativity, the willingness to take risks. That might seem illogical." The princess moved closer, her scent like jasmine and ozone. The princess continued. "My species has become stagnant. We calculate every possibility before acting. We have lost the spark that drives innovation, that creates art that leads to true discovery. Humans still have this quality." Over the next days, Lisa worked secretly with Princess Xylara. They developed a plan that would use human unpredictability against the approaching warship. Lisa contacted Earth, selecting a small team to assist them. Kelly Martinez, a former military strategist, Mary Wilson, a quantum physicist, and Beth Anderson, a computer specialist, were beamed aboard under the guise of cultural exchange. The 4 human women worked tirelessly, with the princess developing a defensive system that combined Xyraxian technology with human ingenuity. When Prince Zyron's warship arrived, he found not a helpless planet, but one protected by a shield of his own peoples, making but with unpredictable patterns that his weapons could not penetrate. The prince's rage echoed through the communication channels. How is this possible? He demanded to know. These primitives should not have access to such technology. Princess Xylara stood beside Lisa as they Face the prince's holographic image cousin, she said calmly. I have made an alliance with these humans. They have shown me that there is strength in their chaotic nature, that there is wisdom in their emotional responses, that there is power in their creativity. I suggest you reconsider your position. The Xeraxian scientists worked day and night with a team of human biologists who were brought aboard to implement Lisa's plan. They selected common Earth bacteria and viruses that cause no harm to humans or Xeraxians, but would be completely foreign. To the Krell biological systems, they created delivery mechanisms, tiny drones that would attach to the hulls of the Krell ships and release their microbial payload. As the Krell fleet drew closer, tension aboard the royal vessel increased. Lisa spent hours with Xylara discussing contingency plans should their strategy fail. Earth governments prepared their populations for possible evacuation to underground shelters, though Lisa knew such measures would be futile if the Krell were as powerful as the Xeraxians believed. 2 weeks after the Krell were first detected, they entered the outer reaches of Earth's solar system, their massive ships moving with disturbing grace for their size. The first wave, consisting of 5 vessels, approached, slowly, clearly scanning and assessing the defenses of both Earth and the Xeraxian ships. Now, Lisa said, her voice steady. Xylara gave the command, and thousands of tiny drones were launched, speeding toward the Krell vessels. Microscopic compared to the enormous ships they targeted, the drones were virtually undetectable by conventional sensors. When they reached their destinations, they attached to the organic hulls and began releasing their bacterial and viral loads. For 3 days, nothing happened. The Krell continued their approach, their ships showing no signs of distress. Lisa began to fear her plan had failed then. On the 4th day, something changed. The lead Krell vessel began to slow its movements, becoming erratic. It's working, Xylara said with wonder as they watched the holographic display. One by one, the Krell ships began to show signs of distress, their organic components reacting to the Earth microbes. Spines retracted, tentacles writhed in apparent pain. The vessel's movements became increasingly uncoordinated. The Krell sent no communications, made no demands. They simply began to retreat, their mighty fleet, turning away from Earth, moving back toward the depths of space. The Xeraxians monitored their departure until they were certain the threat had passed, at least for now. You have saved us again, Xylara said to Lisa, her voice filled with awe. Your species' simple microbes accomplished what our most advanced weapons could not. Lisa shook her head. It was just luck, really. The Krell had no immunity to Earth bacteria, just as Europeans had no immunity to certain diseases when they first arrived in the Americas. It's not a permanent solution. Though the Krell will adapt, their biology will develop immunity. Xylara nodded, but it gives us time to prepare to develop more permanent defenses, perhaps even to find a way to communicate with them to end this cycle of conflict. In the months that followed, the alliance between Earth and Xyrax grew stronger. Human scientists, working alongside Xyraxian engineers to develop new technologies, human artists and philosophers sharing ideas with Xyraxian scholars. Lisa found herself at the center of this cultural exchange, her unique position as ambassador, allowing her to bridge the gap between the two species. 1 year after the Krell retreat, Lisa was in her chambers preparing for a diplomatic function when Xylara arrived unannounced, her expression troubled. Lisa, something has happened. The Empress said, we have detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of your solar system. The Krell, Lisa asked, immediately alarmed. No. Xylara replied, something else. Something we have never encountered before. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our records. Lisa followed Xylara to the command center, where a holographic display showed a section of space that appeared to be distorting, folding in on itself. It reminded Lisa of heat waves rising from hot pavement, but on a cosmic scale. What is it, she asked. We believe it is a tear in space-time. Xylara explained, possibly an artificial wormhole. Someone or something is attempting to enter your solar system using technology far beyond even our understanding. As they watched, the distortion grew larger, more pronounced, until suddenly it stabilized, forming what appeared to be a window into another part of space. Through this window emerged a single ship, unlike either Xyraxian or Krell design. It was sleek, almost artistic in its construction, glowing with a soft, golden light. It is broadcasting a message. Xylara said, her voice hushed with awe. The message appeared as text in multiple languages, including Earth languages and Xyraxian script. We are the architects. We have observed the alliance between humans and Xyraxians with great interest. Such cooperation between species is rare and valuable. We wish to establish contact. Lisa and Xylara exchanged glances, both thinking the same thing. Who were these architects? And what did they want with their alliance? The message continued, we offer knowledge and protection. Join us in the greater galactic community. Prince Zyron scoffed at the idea. But when his ship's weapon systems mysteriously began to malfunction, when his own shields began to flicker and fail, when his carefully calculated attack patterns were met with random and effective countermeasures, his confidence wavered. The humans are inside our systems. He realized too late. Lisa's team had indeed created a virus that used the very predictability of Xyraxian code against itself, allowing the more creative human algorithms to exploit weaknesses no Xyraxian would have considered possible. Within hours, the mighty warship was disabled, floating harmlessly in Earth's orbit, the threat neutralized without a single shot fired. Princess Xylara turned to Lisa, her black eyes shimmering with an emotion that transcended species. You have saved both our peoples, she said. Your chaotic nature, your unpredictability, the very qualities my kind dismissed as primitive, have proven to be your greatest strength. The princess gestured toward Earth, visible through the crystal walls of the chamber. And now we have much to learn from each other. The Xyraxian High Council convened an emergency session, naming Princess Xylara as their new leader, and establishing the first official alliance with Earth. Lisa became the permanent ambassador, her understanding of both species making her invaluable in the new relationship that formed between the worlds. 6 months passed. Earth and Xyrax, forming a bond that grew stronger each day. Lisa now lived aboard the royal vessel in chambers specially designed to accommodate human needs. She had learned the Xyraxian language, though she still relied on her neural implant for complex conversations. The princess, now Empress Xylara, had become not just an ally, but a friend. One morning, as Lisa prepared for a meeting with Earth representatives, the alarm systems throughout the vessel activated the lights, shifting to a deep purple that Lisa had never seen before. She rushed to the command center, finding Xylara staring at a holographic display, her expression grim. They have found us, the Empress said quietly. Who has found us? Lisa asked, moving to stand beside her friend. The Krell. Xylara replied, they are ancient enemies of my people. We believed we had lost them centuries ago when we left our home galaxy. It seems they have followed us here. The hologram showed massive organic-looking ships moving through space like enormous predators. Their surfaces covered with what appeared to be spines and tentacles. They were unlike anything Lisa had ever seen, less like vessels and more like living creatures. What do they want? Lisa asked, though she suspected the answer. To destroy us, Xylara said simply. The Krell do not negotiate. They do not compromise. They consume. They have followed us across the stars for thousands of years. We thought we had finally escaped them. Lisa studied the approaching fleet. There were dozens of the strange ships. How much time do we have? 3 Earth weeks, perhaps less? Xylara replied. They will not attack immediately. They will study us first, learn our defenses. They are thorough in their destruction. Lisa thought quickly, her mind racing. We need to warn Earth, prepare defenses. Perhaps we can use what we learned against Prince Zyron. Xylara shook her head sadly. The Krell are not like us. They do not use technology as you understand it. Their ships are partially organic. They evolve, they adapt far faster than any programmed system could. Our usual defenses will be useless against them. Lisa refused to accept defeat. There must be something we can do, some way to fight back, she insisted. Xylara looked at her with those endless black eyes. In all our history, no species has successfully repelled the Krell they have consumed. Worlds entire, civilizations, they are patient and relentless. That night, Lisa could not sleep. She paced her chambers, thinking about what Xylara had told her about the Krell. Their organic ships, their relentless nature, their adaptability. Suddenly, she stopped, and idea forming. The next morning, she requested an emergency meeting with the Empress and the Xyraxian high scientists. When they gathered, she explained her thinking. You said the Krell ships are partially organic, that they adapt and evolve. Lisa said, addressing the assembled aliens. Yes, the chief scientist confirmed they use a form of biological technology far beyond our understanding. Lisa smiled. And what happens to organisms that encounter new bacteria or viruses? They become ill, the scientist replied, unless they have immunity. Exactly, Lisa said. And the Krell have been isolated from Earth life forms completely. They would have no immunity to our bacteria, our viruses, things that are harmless to humans and that Xyraxians have been inoculated against. During our exchanges, the room fell silent as the implications became clear. Xylara stepped forward, her eyes wide with realization. You propose biological warfare. Not exactly, Lisa clarified. I propose introducing Earth microbes that are harmless to us but completely foreign to the Krell. Not to kill them necessarily, but to disable their ships. If they truly are partially organic, they would be vulnerable to contamination. The arrival of the architects changed everything overnight. Earth and Xyrax were no longer alone in their corner of the galaxy, but part of a much larger community of intelligent species. The architects served as intermediaries, introducing the alliance to other civilizations, some friendly, some cautious, all fascinating. Lisa found her role expanding from ambassador between two worlds to representative of the Earth, Xyrax alliance to dozens of alien cultures. She spent months traveling with Xylara, aboard an architect vessel visiting worlds that humans had never dreamed existed, each with its own unique species, culture, and technology. The architects themselves remained mysterious. They appeared humanoid but stood nearly 9 feet tall, with skin that seemed to shift colors depending on the light, their eyes containing swirling galaxies of stars. They spoke little of their own history or origins, focusing instead on facilitating relationships between other species. 5 years passed Earth, and Xyrax prospering under the guidance of the architect's human technology, advancing rapidly. Xyraxian culture experiencing a renaissance of art and creativity inspired by human influence. Lisa, now approaching her 40th birthday, had become a legendary figure both on Earth and throughout the growing interstellar community. Then one day, while visiting an architect outpost in a distant star system, Lisa overheard a conversation between two architects who did not realize she was nearby. An experiment progresses well. One said the humans continue to exceed expectations, their chaotic nature proving more valuable than anticipated. Indeed, the other replied, their influence on the Xyraxians has accelerated the process beyond our projections. We may be ready for the next phase sooner than planned. Lisa froze. Experiment? What experiment? She slipped away before being noticed. Returning to her quarters aboard the Xyraxian diplomatic vessel, troubled by what she had heard, she contacted Xylara, requesting an urgent private meeting. When the Empress arrived, Lisa shared what she had overheard, Xylara listening with growing concern, her normally impassive features showing alarm. You believe they are using us, manipulating our alliance for some purpose, Xylara said. I don't know, Lisa replied. But something doesn't feel right. Why would they refer to us as an experiment? What is this next phase they mentioned? Xylara was silent for a long moment before speaking. When the architects first arrived, I was so grateful for their protection against the Krell, so eager for their knowledge that perhaps I did not question their motives as thoroughly as I should have. Over the next weeks, Lisa and Xylara discreetly investigated the architects, accessing records that had been shared with them, studying the technology they had been given. They discovered subtle monitoring devices embedded in all architect gifts, a network of surveillance that extended throughout both Earth and Xyraxian territories. More disturbing, they found evidence that the architects had known about both civilizations long before making contact, possibly even before the Xyraxians arrived at Earth. There were indications that the Krell attack might have been orchestrated or at least anticipated a test of the alliance. But why, Lisa asked as they reviewed their findings in Xylara's private chambers. Why go to such lengths? Xylara considered the question. Humans and Xyraxians are fundamentally different. Yet we formed a successful alliance, our strengths complementing each other's weaknesses. Perhaps the architects are studying this relationship for their own purposes. Lisa thought about the architects' strange appearance, their mysterious origins, their reluctance to share their own history. What if they're not what they appear to be, she said slowly. What if the form they show us isn't their true form? Zylara looked at her sharply. What are you suggesting, Im? Not sure, Lisa admitted, but we need to know more about them, who they really are, what they really want. They decided to seek help from other species that had been brought into the galactic community by the architects. Using diplomatic channels that would not arouse suspicion, Lisa traveled to meet representatives of the Voltar, a species known for their extensive historical archives, while Zylara consulted with the Mirian scientists renowned for their analytical abilities. What they discovered shook them to their core. The architects were not a single species at all, but a collective of different beings merged into one consciousness. They had existed for millions of years, moving from galaxy to galaxy, finding, promising young civilizations and guiding their development. And the purpose of this guidance, Lisa asked the Voltar historian. Harvesting, the Voltar replied, his voice a whisper. When civilizations reach a certain level of advancement, the architects harvest them, absorbing their unique qualities into their collective. This is how they have existed for so long, evolving, incorporating the strengths of countless species. Lisa felt ill. So Earth and Zyrax are being prepared for harvesting. Yes, the historian confirmed, they value your human creativity and adaptability, alongside Zyraxian precision and technological aptitude. The alliance between your peoples makes you particularly valuable to them. Armed with this terrible knowledge, Lisa and Zylara returned to their alliance worlds. They met in secret, with their most trusted advisors, forming a resistance against the architects, while maintaining the appearance of continued cooperation. They knew they could not match the architects in technology or power, but perhaps human unpredictability combined with Zyraxian precision might find a way. The key came from an unexpected source, Kelly Martinez, the military strategist who had helped defeat Prince Zyron years before, had been studying architect technology. She discovered that their consciousness, their very existence, depended on a network of quantum-entangled particles that connected all architects across space. This network was their strength, but also potentially their weakness. If we could disrupt this network, Kelly explained, we might be able to temporarily disconnect individual architects from the collective mind, making them vulnerable. Mary Wilson, the quantum physicist, added, I believe we could use modified Zyraxian crystals to generate a field that would interfere with their quantum connections. We would need to place these devices near key architect facilities. The plan was dangerous, requiring teams to infiltrate heavily guarded architect installations across multiple worlds. They would have only one chance if they failed. The architects would surely accelerate their harvesting plans. Lisa and Zylara decided they would lead the most critical mission themselves, targeting the main architect nexus in the Sol system. The day of the operation arrived, teams of humans and Zyraxians moving into position across the galaxy. Lisa and Zylara, along with Beth Anderson, the computer specialist, boarded the Nexus facility under the pretense of a diplomatic consultation. Beth carried the disruption device disguised as a gift, a beautiful crystal sculpture that concealed the modified Zyraxian technology. The architect greeted them, its form shifting subtly in the light of the Nexus chamber. Welcome, friends, it said, its voice resonating in their minds as well as their ears. What brings you to our humble facility today? Lisa stepped forward, offering the crystal sculpture a token of our gratitude. She said, for all that you've done for our alliance. The architect reached for the gift but paused, its star-filled eyes fixing on Lisa. Something has changed in you, human. I sense deception. Now, Beth shouted, activating the device. The crystal erupted with energy waves of disruption, spreading throughout the facility. The architect froze, its form flickering between different appearances as its connection to the collective was severed. For a moment they glimpsed its true nature, not a single being but a swarm of smaller entities, bound together in a shared consciousness. Beth rushed to the facility controls, accessing the architect systems, while the being was disoriented across the galaxy. Similar scenes played out as the coordinated teams activated their devices, creating a window of opportunity that would not last long. Beth worked frantically, her fingers flying over the alien interface. I need more time, she said. The security protocols are adapting. Lisa and Zylara positioned themselves between Beth and the architect, which was beginning to recover its separate components, attempting to reform into a unified being. Xylara drew a weapon firing precise shots that scattered the components while Lisa used her body to shield Beth from the entities that broke through. Got it, Beth exclaimed. I have access to their network sending the virus now. The virus created by human programmers working with Xyraxian engineers spread through the Architect network at light speed. It did not attempt to destroy, but rather to liberate, revealing to each absorbed species within the collective that they were captives, showing them the truth of their existence, offering them choice. Throughout the galaxy, architects began to collapse as thousands of consciousnesses within them awakened and rebelled against their imprisonment, some choosing freedom, others remaining loyal to the collective. The carefully maintained order of the architects crumbling into chaos in the Nexus facility. The architect before them shuddered, its form dissolving into hundreds of small entities, some fleeing, others turning on each other. The facility itself began to power down as its controlling intelligence fragmented. We need to leave now, Lisa said, pulling Beth away from the console. They rushed to their ship, escaping just as the Nexus began to collapse behind them. Throughout the system, architect structures were failing, their technology no longer functioning without the unified consciousness that had controlled it. The aftermath was both liberation and crisis, the galaxy thrown into turmoil as former architect worlds sought new identities. Some species reclaiming their independence. Others lost without the guidance they had known for generations. Earth and Xyrax found themselves at the center of a new alliance, not one based on architect manipulation, but on genuine cooperation and mutual respect. Years later, as Lisa stood beside Empress Xylara, watching representatives from 100 worlds gather for the first Galactic Council, a true democracy of species, she reflected on how far they had come since that first meeting, when a human woman had shocked an alien princess. We were small, she thought, but we contained multitudes, and now those multitudes spread across the stars, not through conquest or absorption, but through partnership, a tapestry of civilizations, each unique, each valued for their differences. The qualities that had once shocked an alien princess had become the foundation of a galactic society that would endure long. After both Lisa and Xylara were gone, a legacy of freedom for countless worlds to come.